First at 5 today, 8 people under
in
arrest.
connection with the fatal stabbing of a 15-year-old Bronx
Dragged out
boy.
of a Bronx bodega and stabbed to death.
8 suspects are now in custody in connection to the vicious murder of a New York City teenager.
The boy was dragged out of a bodega Wednesday night and stabbed to death on the sidewalk in what the family says was a tragic case of mistaken
Developing in the
identity.
Bronx, police need your help finding the men in this surveillance video. They're wanted for a deadly machete attack in the Belmont section. Investigators say 15-year-old Lesandro Guzmán Feliz was stabbed by the reputed gang members Wednesday night after arguing with them inside a bodega. The teenager ran 1 block to St. Barnabas Hospital, where he died.
It's one of those situations where you feel maybe you could have did something, or even if you couldn't have, it's just a messed up situation. You know, watching videos of that kid get jumped and stabbed up in that manner. Such a young kid. When I say kid, it's like, what was he, 15, 16? In a way, a part of me was glad that I wasn't part of that no more, you know? That kid Junior was only a baby, man. I was speaking to dudes ranked up in DR that was livid. Got on my Instagram. I was like, yo, how something like this could happen? Like, nah, I ain't have nothing to tell him. What can I say? I voiced my disgrace, my, you know, what I... And it's crazy because, man, people, like, at least 12 people hit me up. Like, yo, if you was the big homie, that would have never happened. If you was still around, that would have never happened. And I understood what they were saying. It's the truth. That would have never happened. I mean, of course, we can never say never, but everything I could have done to avoid that, I would have done. Wow. But it's crazy because I say that and I mean that, you know. I think about that situation and I think about how it played out and, you know, parties involved, so on and so forth. And you know, I had a policy when I was running things that anybody under 16 had to go to school. You know, anybody under 16 had to bring good grades. I can't lie, I wasn't enforced everywhere as diligently as I would have liked to, but it was absolutely a policy I implemented and I enforced as much as I could. And there was a group of dummies, you know, that I even ended up putting a green light on that were, you know, overriding this policy and recruiting young kids from junior high school, you know, which is also unacceptable. You couldn't be in junior high school and be 20,000 at one point. And this dude in particular, man, you know, he was a troublemaker. In Brooklyn, he had a problem. He tried to come to the Bronx. He was wiping him down. You know, when I got knocked by the feds, they even threw a party and everything. You know, and I always feel like had I finished the job or completely, you know, got rid of these cats, maybe Junior still be alive. Not that I blame myself, you know, but just me thinking. It was just a real messed up situation, man. My heart goes out to that family, for real.
Candidate Ronald Reagan, the South Bronx, August 1980.
I'm trying to tell you, I can't do a damn thing for you if I don't get elected.
The Bronx is a tough place. It ain't for the weak of heart, no question. You know, coming up, there was a lot of rivalry just simply because, you know, I was Dominican or they were Puerto Rican or they were black. But I mingled with everybody. I lived on a block that was mostly Puerto Rican. At school, I hung out with blacks and I hung out with Dominicans. Crazy thing, I used to be Zulu before I was 3. I remember going every first and last Wednesday of the month to 125th Street to the Black History Museum, to the Zulu Nation meetings. I was part of the 50 East Natives. And it was the natives because the king of that chapter was a Puerto Rican man, and the majority of us, at least in the Bronx, we were mostly all Dominican. There's a few blacks, a few Puerto Ricans, but mostly Dominican. The leadership was Dominican. Rest in peace to my man Chalo, man. Big dude, that was my guy. But I grew up around blacks, Puerto Ricans, the same way I grew up around Dominican. To me, it was no difference. I grew up in a household where my grandmother advocated for Haitian rights in the Dominican Republic, which is not a popular subject, to be honest. Being black, being Dominican was weird growing up. Because it's like I wasn't black enough for black people, and I wasn't Dominican enough for Dominicans. It was weird. But going to live in DR, I guess you could say that's when I found myself. That's when I found out who I really am. I come from a family of revolutionaries. From my grandfather, who was the editor-in-chief of the revolutionary paper in the 60s and 70s. And my grandmother being the only female to fight in the Revolutionary War in 65 when the Americans tried to invade. Not only that, it was serious. When you walk into my home, the first thing you see 2 things. You see a picture of my father, my deceased dad, and you see a picture of my grandmother with Fidel Castro. Those are the things that impacted me heavily. Saying in, when I got to really understand who my grandmother is, that's what really started to shape my mentality. I wouldn't leave her side. I'll go everywhere she went as a young kid. And I'll sit in meetings with Peñagome, with Super V, and with other Dominican leaders, big leaders in my country, men who shaped the political system in my country, men who influenced millions of people. In my grandmother's house, racism was never a factor. It was never a thing. My grandmother was a very fair-skinned lady with green eyes and red hair. And at the same time, she would advocate for Black power. She advocated for Haitian rights in the Dominican Republic all her career. She had ties, very, very close ties to men in the government back in the 90s, back in the 80s and the 70s in Haiti. We even harbored one of the political leaders' daughter in our home for a few years. She lived with us for a few years because her father was being persecuted in Haiti, and he had to go to Europe on a political asylum. This was the home that I was brought up in. These are the things that impact me at a very young age. And at the same time, my mother's side of my family was straight money getters. My mother and my aunts, they were legitimate women, business owners. But they brothers, straight ballers. You know, one of my uncles was so cocky with it. You know, he would buy the same Beamer in different colors and park all of them on his block. You know, when I seen this, you know, and these things play tricks on my head, you know, play tricks on my mind. You know, I wanted to be a lawyer, a politician, a great leader. And at the same time, I wanted to chase that money. It was weird. The conflict within me was strong. It was tug of war all the time. And it's crazy. I was never really from one place. But I lived in Dykeman in my youth, in my early youth. Then moved to the Bronx. Then I moved to Yonkers. Yonkers was different. Over there, I used to roll with Bloods for the block. And I learned how to get money in the streets over there. Before that, I was already getting money with my uncles, but it was on another type of time. In Yonkers, he was selling crack. And we ain't playing no games. One of my mans was always used to tell me, like, my man Nano, you know, one of my Dominican bros, and he always used to tell me, man, listen, if you ever go up top, you won't be clean. You ain't gonna see no blood, Dominican blood. Then I ended up going to DR. When I was in DR, there was this dude in David got deported. And he told all of us and he told all the dudes, all the younger cats, about how things run the prison system, how things are organized. Nobody playing with no Trinis in prison. So when I came back to the States, I came back fast because all the dudes on my block, I'm from Villa Consuelo, so all the dudes on my block were like, yo, when you go back, you better get that money. Don't play no games. Get back out there. I'll get to it. You know, I was already getting money when I was there before. So my mentality was charged up. I came back and I got to it. But, you know, how things go. One thing led to another. I ended up shooting somebody, ended up going upstate. So when I got upstate, once they hear you speak Spanish, like, you Dominican? Yeah, I'm Dominican. Yo, come here. What you need, man? You know, I just came to the door, blah, blah, blah. You know, they'll give you a package. And everybody used to tell me, too, once you accept that package, it was real. But it was real, you know? The love was real. They ain't let you starve if you ain't have it. You know, and then you learned how to take care of others as well. And while other gangs was bickering over nothing, you know, playing little sides because of their sets and all that, Trinis ain't have sets. It was one big family. And we ain't playing no games. The first place I touched when I got up top was Franklin. When I got there, I seen a couple dudes I know from the street doing their big O. He was a big homie from Dykeman. He saw me, he accepted me like, he received me. That was the lingo back then. Fue que me recibió. He received me. He introduced me around to the brothers and whatnot. Gave me a little care package, food, deodorant, so on and so forth. Spend the yard with him. He told me how things go, how things move here. Right away they told me, listen, you Trini. It ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I ain't really have a choice. That's the way it move over there. You Dominican, you Trini. You riding with Trini. It ain't too many options. So the loyalty was real. The way they took me in was something I really had never experienced, so outside of my own family, So I was itching to show my loyalty back, waiting for the first little thing that pop over where I could show my loyalty in return. And eventually the moment came. There was a 5% dude from Brooklyn. He kept taking the Spanish paper, the Spanish newspaper, and giving it to one of his mans in another cell block. I didn't even read the Spanish newspaper, but other people did that were Trini, and they came to me and they was like, yo, this dude, he keep taking the paper, you know what I'm saying? So I observed him one day and I seen him do it with my own eyes. So I approached him, I said, yo, why you keep taking the paper, man? You don't even read Spanish? Oh, it's for my man, mind your business. I'm like, what? I say less. So I went to my little unit that was in the media. I went, I packed all my stuff, and I took a walk to my man's cubicle, and I told him, I said, yo, I'm out of here. He said, what's going on? I said, yo, dude. So I explained to him what happened. And he was like, yo, let's talk about it. Let's go to Child. They had just called Child. I said, nah, y'all go. I'm gonna stay right here and I'm gonna wait for son to come back. And he was like, all right, bet. So I took a chair and I put it in the day room. They went to Child. When he came back, he saw me. When he saw me, he went into the unit. So I already knew he was gonna grab something. I didn't even care at that point. So he went in the bathroom. I followed him in the bathroom. He stopped to wash his hands. I stopped next to him to wash my hands. I said, so what's up? He told me, yo, so you trying to shake? So I swung on him, whoop. We start shaking. So one of my men jumped in, Latin King dude, I was real cool with at that time. He jumps in, he's like, no, take it to the shower so y'all don't get caught. So we go around the bend into the showers and we go at it. This dude was like 6'3", 260 something, 270. It wasn't muscle, but he was way bigger than me. So I'm like $170. I'm like $170, super slim. I'm going at it with this dude. I'm whipping him. Then when he pulls out a pen, I couldn't hold it. I started laughing because I'm thinking this dude went into the joint to get a real banger. Like, my man got a pen. So that's when I get even more hype because now I'm like, oh, this dude crazy. So I get more hype. We go at it. So one of my mans ain't like that. He pulls anything out on me. So he jumps in. Then the dude's band jumps in and they got crazy. So we all get sent to the box. When we get to when I go in front of the lieutenant, he tells me, listen, I'm not going to take away no good time. You're almost at the end of your bid. But, I'm going to give you some time in the box to think about it. So they sent me the green box. When I get to green, right away I get on the gate. I'm like, yo, yo, who that? Yo, it's Webb. They already heard it. They already, from the time I was in Franklin, I was already moving and shaking, doing my thing. I got a little status up there. Just so happened that it was a little riot, a little banging, just sent me out to prison. And by the time, when you go to S block, right, there's 3 different levels. So you stay in one level for 30 days, then you go to another level for another 30 days, and when you get to the top level is when you do the rest of your time. So they had gave me 14 months in the box. So when I get to the third level, by the time I get up there, the cell I was in, when you go out to rec in the morning, you can see green jail from green S block. S block is the box. The whole jail is the box. So I scream out to the brothers, yo, Patria! Like, yo, who that? Yo, this is Webb. I'm like, yo Patria Libertad, manito, what you need? I'm like, yo, I'm about to send out this line. So it's crazy because prison is crazy, man. So we would take the dough or the clay from the window, right? Then put it on top of 2 cards, put toothpaste in it to make it more weight, and then glue it with whatever we could find. And let it sit on something compressed so that it could stick. Then we'll take our sheets and create a line from the thread as long as we could. And then take paper clips and make hooks, put hooks in on it, and then shoot that and we would try all day until we got it. We would shoot it. What the brothers would do though, they would, on the other side, on the prison side, they would take cigarettes, lighters, matches, whatever they was trying to send us, and they would put it in a sock and throw it over the fence. So that we would shoot the line into the yard area and fish. If this is the sock, we will fish it like this with the peck, and then from the 3rd floor, you hear me? From the 3rd floor, we fish in the joint. So anyway, the point is that they know that with a pouch of cigarettes, me in the box, I'm good. I'm Gucci. I'm good. You know, because right away I got on the gate. The minute I fished that, I got on the gate. I'm like, yo, I got cigarettes. Who needs that? So dudes are sending me stuff with the officers, and I'm sending them envelopes. They fishing it on the line down the hallway, and it's crazy. That's how I did my time in the box. I come home from the box. Right from the box, I got out. When I come home, my mentality is, stay cool, stay out of trouble, no more selling drugs, trying to do the right thing. Crazy thing is, when I get out, it was difficult for me to get a job in that particular time. So the dudes from the block where I grew up at on Gates, my man, the OG from that block, he told me, listen, you can sell bud, just do it from this time to this time so you get on your feet. So that's what I did. So while I'm doing that, I'm down in Mashulu, and right there, it's Clinton High School. And, I'm acquainted with all the blood, and I'm acquainted with the gangs, the colors, so on and so forth. So, Bloods usually wear like black and red beads or black or red and green beads. Crips, wear white and blue. Sort of like Kings wear the gold or the yellow with the black. So one day I'm at the corner store and I see these kids coming in and out the store, and they got red, white, blue with green in the middle. I'm like, what the heck is this? I'm like, yo, what's that? But I ain't asked nothing. I was still quiet, and I started observing them. So I'm observing them, and I see that they got a Dominican accent. So I'm like, are they Dominican too? Hold on a second, what's this? So first I'm thinking it's DDP, because when I went to high school, DDP was like the Dominican gang, right? Or DP, Dominican Power. It wasn't even DDP yet. It was DP. It was Dominican Power. And then after that, it was Matatane. Mole cuatro letras, Matatane. And so I'm thinking it's one of that, because I for a fact, from what I know, in prison, Trinidad was a prison gang. It wasn't a street gang. So I'm observing, and I see them hang out with this chick. Or they always, go into this chick. She's telling dudes what to do, and then, and I'm like, so I was like, yo, this chick gotta be somebody. So, so after like a week, I'm watching them. I'm rolling up around them, just to see where they at. Because in prison, that's one thing. Our security is top notch. You're not gonna come around us and we don't stop you. Yo, who you? What's up? You know what I'm saying? Like press you something. Security. The Trinitario has security top notch. We didn't play no games when it came to our security, right? So I just wanted to see where they was at. You know, because obviously I see them, and I at that point I already seen them, you know, throwing up the Trinitario sign and Patria and all that. So I'm like, you know, so after like a week, I pull up on her. I pull her right behind her ear, and I said, "Yo, Patria Libertad." She looks, she jumps, and I said, "Listen, your security is trash. I've been watching y'all for a week. Y'all ain't even noticed me. I've been walking through y'all." And at that point, she start looking around. She get paranoid. And I'm like, you know, I've been watching y'all. Like, hey, what's up? Who's y'all head? Like, who's y'all leader? I ain't see no dude, no significant dude. I see you hang out with him and with him, but they ain't about nothing. Like, who's your leader? Like, cause how you the one in charge of shit out here? Like, you know, so she tells me, nah, you know, I don't even know you. Like, why should I tell you anything? So I was like, oh, Shorty got hot, you know? So I tell her, nah, my name is such and such, you know, I just came home, you know what I mean? You're about to leave at the boom. So then she's like, oh, okay, all right, you're about to leave at my brother, whatever, boom. So then she was like, listen, now, leader, let me speak to him, and then I'll tell you tomorrow what we gonna do. So I respect that. I said, all right, back. So the next day, I wait for her there. She comes, she's like, yo, you stop with you, bro. And I'm like, yo, I'm just militant. Like, this is how I am. Like, this is how I move. You know, so she tells me, my leader said to bring you through today. Said, all right, where I'm going, what's up? Where we gonna meet at? What we doing? So she was like at 6 o'clock, you know, take the 1 train over to 181st Street and meet me there. When you come up the station, I'm gonna be there. I said, say less. So when I go, she's there with like 40 dudes. Right away, the dudes pull up on me. And they're like, Patria. So I'm like, Patria. They start to question me and whatever. So I answer back, You know, so they like, come on, let's go upstairs. So I'm like, all right. So we go upstairs to a pool hall. There's a pool on the 2nd floor. We go upstairs. I'll step up to this dude. They bring me to this dude. I step to him. Patria Libertad, you know. It's like, yo, what's your name? I'm like, yo, my name is Webb. And he was like, I'm like, what's your name? He was like, my name is Bebe. That was the first time I met Bebe, right? God bless his soul. I haven't been forgiven for all his sins. My first concern was how weak the security was. I was like, yo, these dudes are kids in high school. If y'all got enemies, and I'm sure y'all do, because we got enemies. One thing about the Trinitario, we didn't associate with no gang. At that time, we literally had we refused to associate with a gang, with another gang. So we had enemies, you know? So I'm like, yo, if dudes wanted to target them kids, they hit, you know? Like, I was like, I watched them to a T, to where I knew who took what bus home and what time, but they were like everything. Like, and I started explaining to him, and he's like, damn. So I think at that moment, what was going through his mind was like, yo, this dude on my team is no joke. Like, I need this dude here. You know, so his next thing was, yo, let's come to this meeting. I want you to tell me what you think about this meeting. So that same night they had a meeting. I went down there. And he was like, yo, just come in. I was like, I got this. You know, so I go in. I go to the meeting. I get in the cipher. At that time, they used to form circles of cipher. So I go in, I'll get in the cipher. Nobody tells me nothing. You know, the meeting happens and everything, boom, boom. You know, and then when we go back to the pool hall, I tell him, yo, who's your leaders? I kind of knew who they were because they kept coming in and out of the cipher. And I was like, who your leaders and what are they position? We need to have a meeting like right now. Like, I need to explain to y'all what y'all doing wrong. You know, and I started to tell him, like, listen, first of all, if y'all don't see a face, y'all don't know, I don't care who he come with. If they ain't Trini, first of all, if they ain't Trini, they getting searched. and they're getting out of here. You out of here. And if they are doing it, they're still getting searched. Because you don't know what intention somebody knew was coming. Then after that, I started to explain to them how every entrance every point of entrance or exit must be covered by personal security. And if they only had 3 security and there were more than 3 places, then they assigned someone for that day. Nobody could have a weapon in the meeting, even if they are the highest ranking member. Because you just never know what could transpire, or when a person is going to do something malicious, or when someone's going to flip, so on and so forth. Then I started to explain to him the matters which should be discussed in those meetings and what should be discussed amongst leadership. Everybody's trying to have the same information, because a lot of the stuff that was getting spoken there was stuff that, most of the stuff that was being spoken there was stuff that was for the leadership. I said, listen, the things that should be spoken to everybody is you getting information from them, you explaining to them what are the things that need to be done during the week as far as missions is concerned, you know, what needs to be ran here to there, so on and so forth. You giving out orders, you know. And besides that, that's it. Everything else, right? What was bought with the money from the funds? He's talking about what weapons was bought with the money from in the public. I'm like, that's not for everybody, you know, so on and so forth. So that's how it started. That's how I started to get my influence with the brothers. That's how I started to get my influence with the Trinitarios in the beginning. That's how I started to mold and to shape things.
I'm taking over that triple beam. Ounces of that coke, ounces of that weed. Cussies come and go, stacking up them G's. I'm the John Rosario, el buco in these streets. Got 1,000 soldiers, run up in your barrio. Kuliki taka bitch. I'm the John Rosario, machucalo is what we do to bring. Get in the money rich, serving junkies they fix. Walk out the pawn shop, getting my jewelry. Did it for a couple grams, now I'm reeing up a key. Money, all I think about is money. If you not thinking the same, stay the fuck away from me. It's one thing being broke, stacking up on the grind. It's another being broke, doing nothing, wasting time. Nigga, my time is precious. Hear it in every line, it's my time. You don't get it, homie, press the rhyme. Boston is my nature, naturally I take over. Killa, motherfucker, I was gangsta.